All right, let's get started. So, hello everyone, good afternoon. This is our day 4 of Linux Essentials. So just a quick revision that we will do today, and later we will see like what all modules and what all things we are going to cover. So yesterday what we studied was a continued topic of Linux links in Linux. Basically, we saw soft links and hard links and how do they differ and what are their attributes. Then we saw about file and directory attributes and permissions. So a file or a directory in Linux can have any one of these attributes. It can have a permission, a owner, a group, a size, and a modification timestamp associated along with the file name or directory name. Then we saw about the permissions that we can put on those files and directories. So the permissions were basically this were the modes of permission that we used to set for user, group, and the world. And the permission bits were read, write, and execute. In which read had a numerical value of 4, write of 2, and execute of 1. Okay. Then we saw how we modified the permissions of an existing file or folder with chmod command, and how we change the ownership. Like if I am the owner of the file and if I want to make someone else the owner of that file, so how do I make changes with respect to ownership with the help of chown command. Then we saw a very important topic. It was about file descriptors and how by what they are represented basically. So file descriptor, there are 3 standard file descriptors in Linux, which are standard in, standard out, and standard error, and they are denoted by number 0, standard out by number 1, and standard error by number 2. Okay. Standard in is your keyboard, basically the input device. Okay, so this can be your keyboard device. Standard out is your basically the monitor, the device on which you get the output basically. And standard error also defaults to monitor. So whenever you get any error or whenever you encounter any error, you would see that error being shown directly on your monitor, right? Then we also had seen like how we can redirect the standard error to file. So we had redirected the standard error to a file called temp error. So these are the things that we saw yesterday. Okay, if you guys have any doubts or any queries related to this, please let me know, because this is very important topic, and as you all know, in Linux everything is related to files and directories, and everything in Linux is treated as a file. So it is really very important to understand this, and our next classes will be based on these fundamentals. So any queries, any doubts, you can let me know in the chat window. Okay. And also just wanting to let you know, like for today we will refer to some PPTs, some slides that I have, and we will be mostly spending our time in the command line. Okay, so we'll require your attention a lot today, because I will be running commands and you will be looking mostly at the commands. So let us see, if you don't have any queries, let us see what we have for today. So today we are going to work with files and directories along with few commands. Okay, so few of the things we have already seen, but we will just take a revisit of these things along with the stream redirection commands. Okay, so these commands are basically important to understand, because these are the fundamental commands that Linux operating system provide, which is very widely used. These commands are very widely used in creating logic for your shell script and further automations. So let us quickly take a look at the following commands. The following first topics are basically commands. So determining where you are in the directory structure. So basically and weaving, so I'll take all of these topics at once. So determining where you are in the directory structure, viewing the file content, copying files and directories, searching for files and directories, creating, removing files and directories. So let us just quickly copy this, and let me share my terminal screen now. So just give me a second. Okay, so well, I missed my terminal window, but what we are going to see are basically all of this command. So determining where you are in your directory structure, this is the command that we use basically to check where I am currently in my directory structure. So if I navigate to other directories like temp, and if I see a long listing of this directory, so I see these are the files and folders listed in the temp directory. So if I go to some other directory like demo and I use the command pwd, so this will help me determine where I am in on the file system. So if I do a whatlist of pwd, so print the name of current working directory. So this is basically the command to determine what is the location of file system under my I mean where I am currently resided on my file system. Okay, viewing the file content, this is revisited command. Basically this is your cat command that we can use to check the file. So I have a script here, hello.sh. so it is just a very simple shell script. So to view the content of your file, you use cat command. So print concatenate files and print on standard output. So your standard output is the monitor that we are currently connected to, and this command is basically used to check what is the current content of the file. Copying files and directories, this is also another simple command. Basically you use command like cp to copy the files and directories in Linux. However, in Windows operating system you must be familiar, like you do a right click and then you copy and paste, right? So similarly in the Linux you have cp command if you want to operate copy from command line. So cp followed by the file name. So let us copy hello.sh to hello world.sh. So these are basically very simple commands, but just wanting to let you know, like these are the different commands that we can use, and this cp command can be used to copy file as well as directories. So here if you see, the first argument is the source file, which is my hello.sh, and if you see, this is the second file, that is hello world.sh, which is my destination file. So the content of hello.sh will be copied to hello world.sh. Okay, just magnifying the screen for your convenience. Now the content of the file will also be copied. However, the inode number and the name of the file differs, and the timestamp also gets changed. So I have just copied this file. However, this file was created an hour back. Now what next? Searching files and directories. So we will look at searching files and directories in more detail, but basically the command that you use for searching file and directories is find command. Okay, so it is basically used for searching the file or a directory on your file system. Okay, now if I want to search for all the files that are available in my temp directory, okay, so I will use find command. Find command is basically used for searching your files and folders in a certain directory, and what we can even do numerous operations on the searched files, the files that we search with find. So let me just give you the manual page of find first. So if you see, this is a manual page of find, and you can use this command, man followed by the name of the command. So if I do man of find, I'll go to the manual page where it will explain me what is this command about and what are the options that I can use with the command. So here if I see, it says like it search for files and directories, and in the options section, I mean next to the description, in the options you will see what are the different options that I can use. Okay, so let us just scroll down for a bit, and just bear with me for some time. There is a type of file option available. So if you see, this is -type. Okay, so this determines what is the type of file that we are going to search. Okay, so as we all know, everything in Linux is a file. Okay, so everything like the devices are also treated as a file, and everything is represented by a file. So if you see, these are the different file types that we saw. So a block special device is basically your device file, like the hard disk drive or the SSD. The character device file is basically your terminal is a character device file, the monitor is a character device file. Then this is a type of file which holds other file, that is your directory. So directory is a collection of different files. Then this is a pipe file. I'm not sure for what purpose this is used. This is your regular file. So any file, script file or a regular text file will be considered as a regular file. This is a symbolic link, basically a soft link. Okay, this is a socket file used for network communications, and this type of file D is door file used with Solaris. Solaris is a distribution of a Linux operating system. Okay, so with find there are number of options that we can use. If you run a command with --help, you will get the number of options that you can use with the command. Okay, so if you see, these are the options that I can use, where I can provide the options. Basically the options are the depth level, at what depth I want to search for the files, and what are the links, and what is the modification creation type of the file, what is the file type, basically the types that we saw. So I'm trying my best to go at a regular speed, but if in case you are not following me, please let me know in the chat window. Okay, so with the find, let us search in temp directory if we have any symbolic links. Okay, so find followed by the directory where we want to search. Okay, and the type of the file. So type of the file L, which stands for symbolic link. So if you see, these are the two files that are coming as a output. Okay, and these two files are basically symbolic links. So if I do if I copy this and if I do a long listing of this, you will see it is a symbolic link. Okay, so this is a symbolic link. Basically it is pointing to a file which is actually not present, hence this red mark here. This symbolic link is dead. Okay, so how do you identify a symbolic link? You will see a L in the start. Okay, so this is just like a regular file, but it is a shortcut file, so hence L here, and we already have covered symbolic link like soft link and hard link. Now let us see what are the available directories in the temp directory. So if I provide the above command with type of D, it will list all the directories. So these are all the directories that I have. Even I can associate other commands, other subset of commands for the number of files or folders that are returned. So if I want to do a long listing on the symbolic link in my previous command, what I can do is use exec. This is an option in find where I can execute the next command on the files that are found in this command basically. So I'm just doing a nested operation on the number of files that are found. So let us just execute the command and execute the result that are found. So here we have got two results. These two are the symbolic links, and I am just using the extended find command to list the output as well. Okay, so what I am doing is I am iterating over the output that I am receiving in this section. So I have received two different files we had seen before, like I have received two different symbolic links, and I am iterating with so this opening and closing curly braces, it denotes that this particular operation has to iterate. So this operation will iterate on the number of results that are found basically. Okay, and similarly if I do for type of D, that is your directory, then it will list all the directories. So if I do ls-ld, it is so -d option will only list the directory, not the content within the directory. So this is listing all the content as well. So if you see here, all of these files start with D, which is a directory. Okay, any questions so far? Any doubts, any questions so far, going good, or how is it? Just let me know.
Yeah, good only.
All right. Okay. So meanwhile, if you face any issues, please let me know in the chat window. We will cover that as well. So what we are doing is just we are searching for files and directories. Okay, we have reached to this section. I will elaborate these sections in the you know in the page that we are following, the daily course track page. I'll basically elaborate it with the commands as well. So we were looking at searching for files and directories. Okay, so one command to make our task easier for finding files and directories is the find command. Okay, what is find? Yeah, so basically this command we are using now. Now we will look at the another command that we can use to do the same job. Okay, so if I do uh, what is locate? Yeah, so locate is another command which we can use for finding files on the file system. All right, so now let us look at the man page of locate. So if you see, this is the name of the command. It is used for finding file by names, and these are the options. So if you want to really master some command, I will really recommend you to go and read the man pages, and man pages are very well documented for every command, and they provide you with all the possible options that you can use with the command. So this basically this command, what it does is, this command when it runs followed by a file name, it will search for the file on the file system. So if I look for, let's say, in my current directory I have file hello.sh. Okay, so if I do a locate on hello.sh, it it won't give me any output. Why? Because how locate work is, locate maintains a database. Okay, so it will index all the files on the file system, and it will uh, create a database, and that database will be used for fetching the files. So whenever I will use locate hello.sh, it will basically use a date it will basically retrieve the values from the database. So now, to update the database of locate for any new files that are created, I will need to explicitly update that database, or it will get updated periodically at some point in time on your operating system. Okay, so the command to update the database is basically update db. Okay, so update db locate basically stores, indexes all the files and its locations and its name in a database, and update db is a command to update that database. So if I add files, I have to explicitly update the database so that my file name and the file location get stored in the locates database. So update db, if I run it, it will take some time, and if I run the command again, you will see I received the output. Okay, so this output is basically referencing to some other directory, basically my vim directory. So I use vim, which is a uh, text editor of linux, which we are going to cover in the next module. But vim also maintains a backup of the file. Okay, so here it is retrieving the file from the vim backup. So if I use a command b. Yeah, so maybe locate is excluding my temporary directory by default. So if I go to man locate, and if I search for temp default, so looks like it is not uh, indexing the files in the temporary directory. So what we can do is, let us create a file at a user's home directory. So let me go to cd home. Okay, and let us go to backup user. So backups. Okay, now if I create the same file here, hello.sh, now update the database of locate. Yeah, so if you see now, after running update.sh, I was able to pull this file. Okay, so locate was able to find the file. However, it is not retrieving the file from the temporary location. Maybe it is not indexing the files in temporary location, because you all know the lifespan of the file in the tmp directory is only 30 days. So let us quickly take another example. Let me create a file with the name of Linux. Okay, I have the file here. So if I do locate of Linux, uh, yeah, it will pull a lot of files, because everything, it is not a very unique name. Let me do touch of Slack. No, it will still have some name. WhatsApp. Okay, so I've created a blank file called WhatsApp. Locate WhatsApp. Okay, still there are some files with the name of WhatsApp, but let us update the DB. Yeah, if you see here, my new file after updating the database was available in locates database, and then it is retrieving the file by its name. So I hope you get the idea. Basically, these two commands can be used to find your files on the Linux files and directories on the Linux operating system. Basically, find and locate commands. Now if I go back, what are we missing? Creating and removing files and directories. So I mean, if you are following my course, you might have seen I have used variety of commands to create files and directories. So I'll quickly list you what all commands you would use. So I'm using touch command a lot. Touch is used to change file timestamps, as well as it is used to create a blank file. Second is mkdir. It is used for creating the directory. Similarly, rmdir for removing the directory. We can even use vi command. It is a text editor which will create a file. So whenever you do a vi followed by the file name, it will create a file and open it in a text editor. So if you write anything to the file, you know, the contents of the file will be saved and preserved on the file system. So vi can be also used to create the files and directories, create the file basically, and few other commands like, you know, what is Nano. So these are the basically text editors that are available on the Linux file system, which you can use to create the files. Creating, removing, and for removing the files you can use rm command. So what is rm? Yeah, rm command is basically used for removing files and directories, and it is a very disastrous command. Basically, if you use it without having knowledge about its options, you can delete your entire file system. So if I have to remove some file, let's say rm file -i will give me basically it will ask me for my, you know, confirmation whether I want to remove the file. So it will remove it in interactive mode. And if I don't provide -i, then it will remove the file. So it is always good to, you know, you basically remove a file with -i, so that it asks you whether you want to delete a file or not. If I don't want to delete that file, I can just provide a simple n, and this should work. So I hope these are basically the very basic commands which I was you know, playing around with since the class, but today you are getting a more, you know, clear view of what these commands are. And after the class I'll paste all of these commands in the Slack window. Now let us move back to our slides. I have slides for the next topics. Let me go here. Any questions, any doubts so far? Okay, all right, so looks good. So we have covered almost all of these 5 points. Now we will go and see the next things in the slides. So let me get here. Shoaib has a question. If I remove any file, then how can I recover? There are few tools which actually you can use to recover files in Linux. Similarly, like in Windows you get few tools, like even after deleting from hard disk you can recover files. So there are few tools. However, I'm not sure and not aware about those tools on Linux, but you can use those tools to recover the files and folder related contents. And if you take regular backups of your operating system, then that is a good way. You can go in your backup and check what files are deleted and what has happened. Yes, Tapender, if we recursively remove a file in directory, will it ask for confirmation? Yes, it should ask for confirmation. If even if you remove recursively, so it will recursively choose all the files and it will ask interactively for each of the files. Okay, so let us move forward with standard IO, redirection pipes and filters. So this topic we are revisiting again. Quickly I'll take you over. Like, the standard input, output and standard error are the file descriptors of Linux. Basically they denote from where the data is coming in and from where the data is basically getting printed. So standard in is your terminal keyboard, and standard output is your terminal display, usually the monitor, and standard error is also the terminal display. So your error also gets printed on your screen. It is always redirected to the monitor. Now the important thing is the stream redirection. So stream redirection commands are used widely. So basically what they do is they do a overwrite of your existing files or folders. When you use the stream redirection commands like right arrow, this is for redirecting the output to standard output, and you can even write this to the file. This is taking your standard input, the left arrow. So here you are taking the input from a keyboard, or it would be basically from a file, and redirecting the standard error. So standard error is denoted by number 2, and this redirection redirects the standard error. And these are the stream redirection symbols basically. So if you redirect this to a file, then the file will get overwritten. So the contents of the file will be lost, and then a new file will be created, and the contents that you are providing from the left side will be written onto the file on the right side. So I'll show you examples. But before going to examples, this is the basic functionality here is they do overwrite of the file. Okay, so this is the important point to understand. Like, these symbols will do overwrite of the file, so the existing contents of the file will be lost. So you have to be careful when you are using this redirection commands, because you can just overwrite your file, and the existing contents of your file will be lost in this case. But when you use a double bracket, you don't overwrite your content, you just append the content to the existing content. Okay, so whatever when I use this double bracket, double arrow, so what will happen is basically it will append to the existing file. Okay, so basically what will happen is the existing content of the file will be preserved, but this thing that we are providing from the left side will be appended to the file. Okay, so it will just append at the bottom of the file, like this is the new text added or something new if we have added to the file folder. And one important thing to note is, if we provide a file and that file does not exist on the file system, then the new file will be created. Okay, either if you use single bracket or double bracket. So if we use this bracket, or if we use this one, if the file is not existing already, then the new file will be created. So stream redirection is very important. So let us just quickly roll back to our screen, and let us just check quickly. Yeah, so back to our screen. So I have files here, check hello.sh. okay, so let us just inspect the content of hello.sh. So if you see, this is just a small shell script. So if I want to redirect something to this shell script, so let's say if I want to echo hello world or some text, So if I redirect this with single arrow, right arrow, so it will overwrite the file. Okay, so if I use double arrow, it will append the file. Okay, so let us first append. So if I do a hello.sh, um, it will be appended at the end of the file. Okay, so this string that I was basically doing a echo of will be appended at the bottom of the file. If I happen to use only a single arrow in this case, it will rewrite the file. I mean, it will basically overwrite the file. So the existing content of the file here, the file lines will be deleted, and this content will only be written on the file. Yeah. Okay. So here, if you see, it is very like, if you don't understand this command, basically this little arrow, then you might damage your existing files. Okay, so here if you see, I have lost the existing script that I had, and now the only content that I have is the string that I was basically echoing. Okay, now standard, this is our standard output redirect. Basically, you are redirecting to the standard output, and here the output is getting redirected to a file. Okay, so this output of this particular command is getting redirected to the file on the right side. Okay, so anything from the left will be redirected to the right, and with the single arrow it will be overwriting. Okay, default behavior is to overwrite existing content, and if you use double arrow, then it will append the existing content. And similarly is for your left arrow. Okay, so for the left arrow, let's say if I do, let us do same, um, let us do a word count. So let us do word count of the file hello.sh. um, words, there are two words. Okay, so I'll explain you what is happening here. Here I am taking input from this file. Okay, so if you see, what is the content of this file hello.sh, it is hello world. Okay, and word count is a utility in Linux which does the word count on the files or folders. So it will count the number of words, the number of words in the file, the number of lines in the files, and the number of characters in the file. So these are 12, this is 12 character long, and it has two words and it has one single line. Okay, if I do similarly, like let's say if I do a echo of hello world, the same text that we have, I'll have to echo it, and then so here, the problem is I am not able to echo this particular command on my right side. So what will happen is this output of this command should get redirected to word count. Okay, but what have actually happened is the file was the shell was not interpreting this as a command. So here, it was interpreting this as a file, hence we received the output. But here this command is not getting executed on the right side, so basically you are not getting any output. So here we are getting this error. However, if I do it other way, like if I use the file, so let's say if I use some other file like catch or check, yeah, check. So if for this small shell script, what has happened is it will give me the output of the basically the number of lines, the number of words, and the number of characters available in the file. Okay, so what we have seen is basically the command redirection, the stream redirection. This is from right to left, and this is from left to right. Okay, this one. So here we are, the default behavior on the single bracket is basically to overwrite, and if I use the double bracket is to append. Okay, so this is basically stream redirection, and this stream redirection symbols are really very important, because when you are running some more commands in Linux, you will have to understand, what is redirection and how do you take the input and output of one command and provide it as an input to the other command. So if I go back to my slides, yeah. So similarly, like we can redirect the standard error, and we had seen this yesterday where we had to capture standard error into a file. Okay, so we used this particular string yesterday where we were redirecting the standard error to a file on the file system. So here if you see, we had used this command. So what we are doing is we are redirecting the input. So here the standard input is your text file, so it contains this particular string. Okay, so it has 3 lines and then it has 10 different words with 54 characters in total. So if I provided this file to word count command, it will count the lines and words and characters. So this we had seen, like we are redirecting the contents of the file to the word count command. Okay. Yeah, Aparna. So she has a question. When we delete any file in Windows, it goes to recycle bin. Then what about Linux? So in Linux also you have got a thrash folder which is created for every user in their home directory. So so basically, if it is configured to capture the file in thrash, then you would see, like you have got a thrash folder where all the deleted files are stored. So if I go to home, okay, and Akhan is the user. Now if I go to /config, so on the users in the users directory there is a thrash folder that is created for every user. So if it is available in cache, I don't think that is enabled on my system by default, but it should be available when you create a regular installation of Linux. I have just modified a few things on my personal system. cd.local, yeah, here in my system it is actually present here in .local. So generally it is present in .cache folder, but on my system here it is present under the user's home directory .local folder, and in share inside the local folder there is a thrash folder. So if I go to thrash, you will find all the files that are deleted here. Yeah, so whatever file if I remove or delete, then it will get stored here, and usually it will only store the files that are deleted mostly from your GUI, not from the command line. So if I do a file deletion like rm-r, it will not be stored in your thrash folder. However, whatever you delete from the GUI, let's say a file application or something, then it will be stored in the thrash folder. So redirecting standard IO, so we are redirecting the standard input here from, and here the standard input is taken from the file where we are redirecting it to the word count. Now we are redirecting the standard out. So cal is utility in Linux. It shows you the calendar, and I'm looking for calendar of 2007, and I'm storing it in a file called calendar.2007. So here the standard output of this particular command is getting stored into this file. Okay, so this redirection, what it does is it will create the file if it is not existing, and it will write the contents of this output to this particular file. Okay, now if you see, here is an interesting redirection. So here we are using both standard input and standard out at once. Okay, so this is your standard input that we are taking with the help of the left arrow, and this is the standard out, that like the stream redirection for the with the right arrow. So what we are doing here is basically word count hyphen L, this option will count the number of lines. So WC, this command basically counts lines, words and characters, right? So if I provide explicitly hyphen L, it will only count the number of lines. Okay, so here if you see, it is the same file, standard input.txt, and what I am doing is I am basically counting the number of lines. The output is 3, right? So I have 3 lines in this particular file. This is the basically the file name. Okay, so the output is 3, but what I am doing is I am redirecting that output to lines.out. So I am using both standard in redirection and standard out redirection. So the output of this particular command is going to get stored into lines.out. Okay, so if you see, like, lines.out will be created, and this particular file will have the content of the command word count hyphen L standard input.txt. So hope you get the idea, like why we are using standard in, standard out and the stream redirection commands in Linux. Okay, so we had seen standard output redirection, standard input redirection, and finally is your standard error. Okay, so in this stream redirection of standard error, what we will see is how we can redirect the error that we are encountering. Okay, so by default the error is getting stored on your monitor, right? You will encounter the error directly on your monitor. So what we are doing here is I have two files, file1.txt and file2.txt. Now if I list a file with F as capital, okay, I don't have any file with F as capital, right? So it will give me the error, file not found, no such file or directory. Okay, so what I am doing is I am redirecting here. What I am doing, I am redirecting the standard output, okay, with a single arrow, right arrow, but I am not having any file as such. So the standard output of this particular command is nothing, hence, and still I am capturing it. So the output.txt will be created because this was not existing on the file system, and it will get created. Now if I check the content of that file is blank. Okay, because this is the standard error. No such file or directory is the error, it is not a output. Okay, now this error, we want to capture this error. So how we capture this error is we use the same command, however now we use 2 in front of the redirection. Okay, so this way we can redirect the error with standard output. So what is happening here is 2 is the standard error, and here we are already encountering an error, that is no such file or directory, and now we are redirecting this error to the output.txt file. So if you see, now the content of the file is cannot find a file like no such file or directory. So this way we can redirect a standard error to a file, or it can be redirected to some other location. So we have already seen how to append to a file. So when we use a single redirection symbol, like a single right arrow, we just overwrite the file. So the default behavior in that case is overwriting the file. Okay, so default behavior of a single character of arrow, right arrow, is to overwrite whichever way it is. Okay, and for the double arrow, the default behavior is to append. Okay, so if we want to append some text to end of the file, let's say we want to add a footer to the file, or we want to add some tags to HTML file at the end, we can use this symbol. And what is happening here is, let's say I have this file file1.txt, and I am checking the content of the file. It has only one line, hello from file1. Now what I am echoing here is basically line 2, hello from file1. Okay, now if I check the content of the file, I am basically appending it to the file1.txt again. So the file1.txt had this original contents, and now I am appending this line 2, hello from file1 to file1.txt. If I check the output of the file, you will see this line is getting appended at the end of the file. So This is also very widely used, like if let's say if you want to append the output of a script. So if you schedule a script to run at some point in time in your file in your Linux operating system, and you are maintaining a log file, then what you can do is you can use this operator to append, every successful run in that log file. So this redirection symbols are very important. Now as we are continuing to look at the stream redirection symbols, okay, so what we had seen so far is the single arrow redirection symbol, where the default behavior is to override the file, and the double redirection symbols, where the default behavior is to append to the file. Now we will see uh, pipes. So pipes are also stream redirection symbols. Basically what we do with pipes, and it is denoted by this particular character on a keyboard. So what is done with a pipe is basically what you do is you do a standard output of one program to be the input for another program. So basically what this means is, what I can do is the output of one particular command can be provided as an input to other command. Okay, so here if you see, I am doing a long listing of the files, and I am providing the output of long list to sort command. So sort is a utility to sort files depending on their timestamp or the number or the name, and it will just do a numerical sort and a alphabetical sort with the provided options. So here if you see, I am just using pipe. I am providing the output of this command as an input to sort command. Okay, and pipes are very important and are one of the fundamental stream redirection commands. Similarly, if I want to do a reverse sort, so -r option will do a reverse sort with the with the same command that I am doing before. So if you see, now the files are getting sorted in a numerical way in the reverse order. So here it was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and here they are reverse sorted basically. So the output of ls-l command is getting reverse sorted with the help of pipe command. So if you consider this example, what is happening here is basically we are using the regular stream redirection commands. So what I am doing here is basically I have this file, and I am counting the number of lines in the file with word count -l. Now this is basically I am providing the file as an input to word count -l. Okay, so it is giving me there are five lines in this file. Okay, line 1 to 5, and what I am doing is I am just outputting the command's output of word count -l to a new file 1.line count. So this is already we have seen before. This is similar to this command. Okay, this is similar to this command. It is just elaborated here. Any doubts so far? Any questions?
All good.
Okay, yeah. Any questions for anyone who is not familiar? Basically these are very basic things, but a quick revision is good for people who already know. But if for someone for whom this is new, please let me know. Pipe command is actually used very widely. So there is one question. So where we are using pipe command. So pipe command is actually used very widely. I'll just show you on the window. Just give me a second. Yeah. So let's say I go to my temporary directory again. I have this commands. Okay. Now these are the files available in this directory. So let's say if I want to copy, if I want to basically this is a long listing of files ls-l. Now I use the pipe symbol. Okay, now if I do a pipe of basically, let's say, word count the number of lines, so what should be the output? So it should give me the number of lines that I am getting as a output in ls-l, right? So it is printing basically 4 lines. Okay, so if you see, it is basically printing 4 lines. 3 lines are representing your file, okay, and their attributes, and the fourth line is this line, right? So I am doing just a word count on that output of ls-l, and this is done with the help of pipe command. So pipe, what it does is, the standard output of this command is given as an input to this command. Okay, so this is the type of redirection that you would see with the help of pipe, and it is very widely used. So let's say if I want to cat hello dot sh pipe to word count. So if I check the content of the file, hello has only 1 line, and similarly you are just you are taking the output of this particular command and then redirecting as an input to word count. Okay, so in advanced management of Linux, you use stream redirection and pipes and other symbols a lot. Now we will look quickly at some more commands, or I think we are already nearing our time for today. So what we can do is, we can look this command tomorrow. I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed by all of these commands, so we'll take small steps. Okay, so what we will do is, we will look all of these commands at once in tomorrow's class. We have a few minutes left, so if you guys have any doubts for today, please let me know. We can have a quick chat on that, and we will see and cover rest of the things tomorrow. So any questions, any doubts, anything related to any classes that we covered so far? Any questions or any clarities that you want, or anything like any feedback or anything that you want to share? Are you guys able to access the instance that I have given you? Like you can use that instance to study the commands, or follow up with the classes. If anyone is having issues with the instance, you can let me know, please. Okay, actually I am yet to cover vi editor. So once I cover the vi editor, so you would be getting assessments on your instance directly. So the vi editor is used to basically create file and edit files. So once I cover vi editor, I will be taking your assessments regularly on the instance. Okay, so you will need to log into instance and then edit the file. Basically the assessment will be taken in a way where I will be posting questions in a file, and then you will go and edit and provide your answers there. So once I cover vi editor this module, I will start taking your assessments. Like we will revisit all of these things that we have covered so far. So it will just be like mcqs based, or it will be quick description based. Do we need to memorize of all the commands? Actually, Hamza, I'll say, like, if you use the commands on the command line, it would be easy for you to memorize all of them. Okay, you need not to worry about memorizing the commands individually. If you just use them on the command line, and if you have a habit to spend some time on the command line regularly, then you would easily remember all the commands. I'm really sorry. I mean, I noticed in my recordings, like people usually question me, and I'm not able to, listen to their questions. So if you want to, you know, share something, please write in the chat window. That is very convenient for me. Okay. All right. I think we are good. I don't see any questions, any further questions. Still, if you have any questions, it is pinned in the Slack channel. You can provide your questions here in the Google Sheet, and I will try my best to answer. Okay. And if you don't have any questions for today, I think we are good to sign off for today. Let us meet tomorrow at this same time, and then we will cover a lot of commands tomorrow. Back to back, there will be a lot of commands. So please come prepared tomorrow with what all questions you have or anything that you want to discuss with me. Okay. So looks good to me. See you. Have a great day. See you all. Bye bye.